Hi everyone, hope you can hear me okay. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. My name is Patrick Keeley with Applichat Healthcare, and we're just letting a few people join the broadcast, and then we will get started on our event. Why virtual hiring events hold the key to sourcing and interviewing more RNs. So if someone could just let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Yes, thanks Ruth, that's great. Okay, we're going to get started right away here. So before I do start, I'm going to post in the chat a link to our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group called Nurse Recruitment Secrets, and it'd be great if everyone joins up, and it's an opportunity to learn from each other, and we share tips we've learned about nurse recruitment and ideas that will help everyone in healthcare to find, recruit, and hire more nurses. So feel free to join our Facebook group, and again, the link is there in the chat. And throughout the broadcast today, please do put any comments or questions in the chat, and I'll do my best to get to them and address comments and questions that come up. So I'll introduce myself again. My name is Patrick Keeley. I'm with Applichat Healthcare. I'm the Chief Operating Officer. At Applichat Healthcare, we work with healthcare clients across the US and Canada to help them find more nurses. And our specialty is to source passive nurse candidates from non-job board channels. So the key for us is to open up a new channel of nurse applicants that is not readily available to most healthcare organizations. That's our specialty. And we have learned some great ideas and great successful tips to get more nurses for our clients. And we wanted to share today some of the ideas, some of the things that work for our clients. And specifically, we want to talk about hosting virtual nurse hiring events. Just going to share my screen and get the video started here, presentation started. Okay, great. You can see my screen now. So, virtual hiring events. Why do we do it, and why do they work? What makes them work for our clients? So, obviously, there's a nursing shortage. We all know that there's a nursing shortage. Everyone is struggling from it, and we need to do more to help healthcare organizations to find more nurses. And what we've found from working with our healthcare clients is that our most successful healthcare clients, and by that I mean in terms of those clients who are the most successful at getting new applicants and getting them hired, are the ones who are open to trying and embracing a new approach to recruiting. They're willing to say that, you know what we're doing is not working, or it's working, but it's not working enough. It's working, but it's not filling our need. So we need to see if there's another way, another method of getting to more nurses and getting them into our organization. So first of all, they're open to trying and embracing a new approach. Second of all, our most successful clients are committed to moving applicants through the hiring process quickly. That's really key. Most of you will be well aware that you need to have really efficient processes to get people through the hiring process. Now, I recently heard a stat that said that close to 70% of nurses will accept the first job offer they're given, keeping in mind that a nurse these days can get 2, 3, 4 job offers if they're looking for a job. So close to 70% of nurses will accept the first job offer that comes to them. And more than 60% of nurses will commit to that job offer, stick with that first job offer that they've accepted, even if they get a second or third offer that's of higher compensation. So once they commit, they're most likely willing to stay with you. So speed is really key. And again, we see that with our healthcare clients, that speed is key. So how do we help our clients to try something new and move quickly in order to get more applicants into their system? So in this nursing shortage, what you as a healthcare organization needs are, first of all, you need a rapid response to nurse recruitment. You need to hire fast. You need to hire now and fill vacancies now. You need to do something that will get vacancies filled right away. You also need to attract a new audience of nurses to want to work for you. The existing audience is probably not working, or at least not filling your needs. And whatever you do, it needs to be a low impact for your team. Your recruiters and your hiring managers are running full tilt as it is. So whatever you try that's new needs to, first of all, show results. And second of all, it needs to show your team that it's going to be a low impact for them. So virtual nurse hiring events, we have learned that these are a really successful way to address all of those issues, all of those key points. So why are they different and why do they work? Why are they working so well? And of course, a lot of this has come up and evolved through the age of COVID, where organizations realized they had to do something different and to still do their recruitment, because healthcare organizations were still hiring and need to do something in a different way. So virtual hiring events became certainly more commonplace. Why are they different? First of all, they're not a traditional job fair. So they're not an event where, first of all, people come in person. It's not a meet and greet where they just get to know the organization and get to know the applicant. Certainly at those events, there can be in-person interviews on the spot and job offers on the spot, but often they're not as productive. And often clients tell us that they're not thrilled with the turnout for those events. Second of all, virtual nurse hiring events, at least the ones we're involved with, need to be focused on your organization. So some of our clients come to us and say, well, we've tried virtual hiring events before, but we kind of got lost in the shuffle with all the other organizations because they went to perhaps a community hosted virtual hiring event with a lot of employers in place. So again, it needs to be an event focused on your organization to attract people to you and to help them understand why they should work for you. The virtual nurse hiring events give an opportunity for you to reach a new audience and candidate pool. It's something different. It's not just the typical process of applicants finding and applying for jobs. Again, now it's different because when applicants sign up for a virtual hiring event, they are screened. So again, you're not just getting people walking in the door to an event or signing up online, joining online without being screened. The screening has to happen before they can register for the event. Next, virtual hiring events offer a rapid response. This is a one-time event, and these are first interviews with hiring managers. Again, it's not a meet and greet. We bill these as a first interview with your hiring manager so that both the applicants and your staff know that there's going to be progress and we're going to move quickly through the hiring process with people that are a fit for the organization. Virtual hiring events are personal and engaging. Again, this is not a group event. We're logged into Zoom. Nowadays, everyone's used to being on Zoom, and you can engage people directly and personally and find out more about them over Zoom. Next, and this piece is really important. Virtual hiring events are easy for the applicants. We have to do what is easy for the applicants. So with an in-person hiring event or job fair, it might take 2 hours out of an applicant's time. They need to, first of all, do it on when they're not working. They need to travel, commute. They need to find parking. They need to find the room. They need to get in the room and go through all that process and make sure they're not late for it. With a virtual nurse hiring event, it's a 15 to 20-minute commitment. So nurses can sign up at a time that works for them. They can join from anywhere they are from their phone. In fact, they can join from a break while they're working. They can sign up and then join the 15 to 20-minute interview while they're having a break at work. So really easy for the applicants. And finally, of course, this is an event that's safe for applicants and your team. COVID has not gone away, and that's still of concern to a lot of people. So really critical. So those are the key reasons why virtual nurse hiring events are successful. And we've found some really great success with hosting virtual hiring events. I want to share with you how that's worked for our clients. First of all, at our events that we host, a really key part of what we do is sourcing passive nurse candidates from non-job board channels. I mentioned earlier that that's a specialty of AppleChat Healthcare. We have the ability to access nurses during their time spent on the internet and get directly to them. I'm going to talk more about this sourcing, which is so critical, in a few minutes. We also do an in-depth screening of every candidate. Okay, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes as well, but the screening is really critical and our process has worked really well in order to do that. We also give you zero frustration from the event planning. So when you think about planning either an in-person event with all the logistics involved and low turnout, or planning a online event and all the logistics involved and perhaps tech problems that come with it, you don't have to worry about that with our events. We're providing all of the planning and support from start to finish, including with the calendars, the screening, the setting up the Zoom rooms, and support with the Zoom rooms during the event, and rescheduling applicants and so on. They're contacting us. They're not contacting you if they need to reschedule. So we're looking after all that for you during the event. Really critical for your team. I mentioned low impact for your team. This is a 4-hour commitment for your team, your hiring managers. So it's really a low commitment. We just need them signed up and committed for that 4-hour event. There's a little bit of planning upfront early on for mainly for the talent acquisition team, a little bit of awareness sharing for the hiring managers of how it will work. But other than that, it's a 4-hour commitment to work for your team. And we also give you results with our hiring events. Again, this is a rapid response to your nurse recruitment needs, and I'm going to share some examples of our great results we've had shortly. So, talk about the sourcing. I mentioned earlier that the sourcing that we do is really, really critical to the success of any client who's looking to hire and find new nurses. So in general, healthcare organizations tell us that their biggest challenge is the lack of candidate flow, the limited candidate pool, and the lack of qualified applicants that come in to their system. So the challenge is, how the heck do we get more people coming into our system? We also hear from our clients that most of their applicants are coming from Indeed or from other job boards, their website, word of mouth, and so on. So again, these are active candidates. These are candidates who are already looking for a job. And if they're applying for you, you know they're probably applying for 1, 2, or 3 other organizations as well. So that's the challenge in nurse recruitment these days. We also know that only about 10% of nurses are applying for a job at any given time, give or take. And the other end of the spectrum is all of the nurses who love their job, love their organization. They're not going to leave their organization for whatever reason, and that's great. And it's wonderful when people find the right fit for them. But everyone else in the middle are the folks that we want to access. These are the passive nurse candidates who are not necessarily committed to their job. They're open to working in a new workplace, but they're not actively looking for a job. For whatever reason, maybe they're too busy with work and kids and looking after parents and family and everything else to even think about changing jobs or getting a resume going or applying for and pursuing a new job. So our specialty, as I said, is accessing those passive nurse candidates. So certainly you're asking now, how are we able to access 60 to 70% of nurses in any market? And the answer is another question. Well, where do nurses spend their time? And recently a talent acquisition person told me that about 0% of nurses don't have a smartphone. So we know that most nurses do have a smartphone. Most of us do nowadays, and we all spend a lot of time on it. And if you pass a nurse in the hallway or on the elevator, they're not on Indeed. They're not looking at your job board, most likely, right? They're on YouTube and Google and news websites and so on. And that's how we get to nurses. So we're able to access nurses during their time spent on the internet. We are able to identify who they are and put marketing in front of them about the opportunity to work for a new organization. And when it comes to our virtual nurse hiring events that we host for our clients, we're not only telling them about the opportunity to work for our organization, we're also telling them about the opportunity to have a quick in with the organization through a virtual hiring event. I want to quickly tell you an anecdote about our sourcing. So last year I was speaking with a nurse who applied to one of our opportunities in North Carolina. And I asked her, what was it about our ad that you saw online? What was it about that ad that got your attention? And why did you apply? And she said, well, my husband and I were thinking of moving to the coast, maybe in 2 or 3 years. But when we saw the ad, we just had to see what this was all about. We couldn't pass it up. So our sourcing, our marketing, turned her from a passive nurse candidate to an active nurse candidate immediately. And not only that, we made her an active candidate for our client, not for one of the 5 or 10 or 15 other potential healthcare organizations she could have applied for somewhere on the US coast. She specifically applied to work for our clients. So that, to me, is a really good example of the success of our sourcing. So with our virtual nurse hiring events, this is what we do. This is how we get results for you and remove frustration from hosting the event. So first of all, as I said, the sourcing is really critical. We're putting marketing in front of nurses to tell them about the opportunity to work for you, and also the opportunity to have a quick in through an event, a first interview with your hiring manager. They will see the opportunity and look for a time in the calendar that we open up for you. Some of our clients open 5, 6, up to 9 calendars. Maybe if it's a large hospital, they're opening it up for one calendar, one Zoom room for each specialty, and then nurses can book in for the specialty or the location that they want to work in, and the manager for that specialty or that location will conduct the interview. We conduct screening. As I said, screening is really critical. We have an online chatbot where we will ask every candidate your top 5 to 10 screening questions to find out whether they're a good fit for your organization. So before we plan the event, we'll ask you, what are your top 5 to 10 screening questions that you use to screen a nurse in or out? Whether it's a certain amount of experience, certain type of certificate, certain type of experience in terms of nurse experience. If they're a good fit, we'll move them on into the process. Then they can book into the particular Zoom room for, again, either the location or the specialty that fits for them. Not only will we do the chatbot, we will then phone them. So once they're registered, we will then phone them and find out for sure that they're the right fit for your organization. We want to optimize your time in the event, in the Zoom room, and we want to make sure that their screening questions, responses fit, and that they're interested. And then we also sell your organization as a good place to work and encourage them about why they would want to work for your organization and why they should participate in the career fair. Then we are doing email and text message reminders to make sure that they don't forget about logging in for their appointment with you. So we do all the setup from the beginning to the end. We're looking after all the calendars and the Zoom rooms, everything you need to do for the event. We're doing that for you in the background. And very important, we're providing the support during that 4-hour event. So once your team logs in for their 4-hour commitment, we're in the background providing all the support. Again, if a nurse needs to cancel or reschedule, we are doing all that in the background, taking people off the waiting list and getting them rebooked to optimize your time. If you're having trouble with the Zoom rooms, you're communicating with us so we can sort that out. If there's any other challenges, you're talking to us, and the candidates are talking to us. They're not calling you with challenges that they're having with their Zoom camera, for example. So we're doing all of the support, all of the planning right from the beginning, right through the end. And again, with a key focus that we offer is the sourcing. This isn't just about putting an ad or a post on your Facebook group and hoping people find it. We are going out to the nurses to find them. This is just a screenshot of the chatbot that we use to ask those top 5 to 10 screening questions to make sure they're a good fit before we phone them. I want to talk about some of the results now that we're getting for our clients. And this, we've been really thrilled, and our clients have been really thrilled with the success that we're having. So this is Humber River Hospital, a large hospital in downtown Toronto, Canada. We held our first event for them in October 2020. And as you can see through the funnel here, they had 120 people sign up for the event. They had 58 people attend the event, so actually showed up for their appointment. They had 22 of those people moved on to second interviews. And in the end, again, after a 4-hour event, they had 9 hires. And what they pointed out to us at Humber River Hospital is that there's a potential for more future hires because they started conversations with these people. Maybe they weren't a fit or weren't ready right today to get an offer and get hired, but there's potential for the future for them through their new database that we've created for them. But 9 hires, they were very, very pleased with the 9 hires that we got for them, again, out of a 4-hour commitment from their team. They liked it so much that we did another one for them. In just this past August, we hosted another event. We were able to get 72 people interviewed in the rooms that day. We were able to fine-tune our screening and our reminder process to make sure people booked in and get into the room. They had, again, around 20 or so moved on to second interviews. And at last report, last week, they had 10 hires confirmed. and they had 3 more in reference checks. So the potential right out of the event of having 13 hires from that 4-hour event. So again, 2 events and for sure 19 hires out of 2 events and a potential of 22. And again, potential of more because they started conversations with many, many other nurses that they will be able to follow up with in the future. So Humber River Hospital is really pleased, and we're really pleased with the success that we've been able to have for them. I'm just checking the chat. Feel free to add questions or comments in the chat. I'll check them periodically if anything pops up. I want to talk about another client we worked with just as an example of the power of our sourcing. So this was not a virtual hired event. In fact, this long-term care organization in the US was planning an in-person job fair. This is something they've done all the time. Yeah, I think it might have been the first in-person job fair they've held since COVID, and they were launching it again. They came to us to ask us to help them out by sourcing passive nurse candidates to attend their in-person job fair. They came to us. We didn't have a lot of time to plan. We were able to spend about a week sourcing online in their region, and we got 85 applications for them. And the applications came with a reminder to people about the event, all the details about the in-person event, what time to attend, and please, lots of reminders to get out and attend the event. On the day of the event, around 50% of their attendees at the event came from our sourcing. So had we not been on the scene, they would have cut their attendees in half. They did, from our sourcing, get 1 hire and have 2 more offers pending at the last report we had from them. So we were really pleased with that. They're really pleased with that as well. And they have a new database of nurses to follow up with. So of course, at an in-person event, not everyone's going to show up. You get a much higher turnout from a virtual hiring event. But with a list of 85 applicants, name, contact information, and all of the screening responses, this organization now has 85 nurses to contact to try and recruit into their organization. So another really valuable piece that came out of the sourcing that we did for them. Final interesting point that they said to us when we did the follow-up call is that they're interested in having a virtual nurse hiring event that we host. So they're interested in moving away from the in-person job fair and trying a virtual nurse hiring event sometime in the future. So we see that as a big success for lots of reasons. So talking about our clients, a few great quotes from our clients. One of them said, and when using an Indeed virtual hiring event, Indeed will post the event and sponsor traffic, but they don't help with the rest of the process. So AppleChat provides all of that support, start to finish, planning and support right through to the last minute of the event. Another quote, you need to have the multi-channel traffic that AppleChat offers. And this is what I was talking about, the sourcing, the online sourcing through multiple channels online, not just through Indeed or any single source, but looking through across the internet to source passive nurse candidates. Another comment was that the in-depth screening we do is really critical so that the employer is not wasting the time of hiring managers, of course, really important. Another quote, I wouldn't want to run this size of an event without the support of your team at AppleChat, so we are pleased to hear that. And the personal touch from AppleChat was essential for the events we hosted. And lastly, I was pleasantly surprised by the numbers that came out of our sourcing for the events. So we are, again, really pleased that our clients are happy with the results. Here's what it would look like to sign up for a virtual nurse hiring event with us. So we typically like to have about 30 days to plan an event. We can compress that if you're in a real urgent need to get hires really quickly, and if you and your team are committed to take some time at the very beginning to help us with the planning. It's not a lot of time, but we need to get people in the door really quickly to do the planning. But typically 1 month, we will have an onboarding call. We will start gathering all the assets from your organization that we need to do the marketing, the sourcing. We will build that campaign and get the sourcing going in the last 10 days or so. And then the day or two before the event, we'll have a very short prep call with the hiring managers who will be on the Zoom rooms so that they know what to expect and what they need to do during the event. And then event day. So campaign journey for one of our virtual nurse hiring events can be very quick, only 1 month. And again, we can compress it if the circumstances call for it in urgent situations. Next steps. If you're interested in what we do with virtual nurse hiring events, I can tell you more about it. First of all, I'm posting the website here. I'll also post it in the chat, the web page that we use for our to share information about our virtual nurse hiring events. I'm putting that in the chat now, and note that on that page you can book a time right in my calendar. So please do that. Before I move on, Zach asked, what are the best resources for advertising these virtual events, or the best resources that you have seen the most success with? Well, that's a really good question. So first of all, our sourcing, as I say, is really critical to getting a really high turnout, a really high number of registrations for the events, because we're able to source passive nurse candidates. These are nurses who are not already looking for jobs. Some of them are, of course, but many aren't, and we're able to get their marketing in front of them. So that's really critical. Our clients also, again, I'll say that our sourcing is across multiple channels on the internet. It's not just through one single source or two sources. It's multiple channels. So, and then our clients also cooperate in the marketing by posting on all of their social media about the upcoming virtual hiring event. We can provide graphics that you can share for the event. If you go to Humber River Hospital's LinkedIn page or Facebook page going back to August, they were posting regularly some great videos about their staff that they already had created with the information about the virtual hiring events. So through all your social media, emailing your existing candidate pool, let them all know about the event, because as you know, a candidate who may not have been interested or willing to move forward with you 6 months or a year ago, for some reason might be ready today. And if you reach out to them today and they see they can spend 15 minutes on a virtual hiring event in a first interview, they might be willing to jump and go for that. So certainly that's really helpful to have not only our sourcing happening, but also for your organization to advertise this really broadly. So the next thing I will say is, so first of all, I posted in the chat the information about the web page for the hiring event. So please visit us there. And as I said at the bottom of the page, there's a link to book directly into my calendar so we can talk more about this. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Patrick Teely, and I just put my link to my LinkedIn page in the chat as well. And my email and phone are on the screen. So before I close, if anyone does have last comments or questions about virtual hiring events, and again, the success that we've seen with that, please post those in the chat now before we close off. And earlier on, I posted the link to the Nurse Recruitment Secrets Facebook group. Again, join us over there as well. I'll get off the call here and I'll accept any people that have signed up today. So look forward to meeting you over there. Follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn so that I can tell you more about the events, but also about our webinar series. So we host webinars on nurse recruitment on a wide range of topics related to nurse recruitment very regularly. So if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I'll make sure that you find out about all of our webinars that we host. So connect with me over there. And again, visit our webpage about the nurse hiring events, virtual nurse hiring events, and book a time in my calendar if you'd like to speak. So on that note, I'm going to close. Thank everyone for joining. I appreciate the interest and look forward to hearing from many of you down the road to learn more about our service. And I sure hope that you see lots of great success with nurse hiring over the coming weeks and months. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.